So we continue from question number 8, and this time we are going to be talking about joins. So we want to obtain the last name of the employee from the employee table, and we also want to obtain the job title from the job table. Before you can obtain something from two different tables at the same time, these tables have to be related in some way. So let's see the jobs table and see how it relates with the employee table. So I'm going to describe HR, the jobs, and we're going to run. So let's see the relationship and then we continue from there. I'm going to click on run here. Okay, so it takes us time. Okay, so we have the employees table, we have job ID here, you can see job ID. We also have the table is jobs, and I have also the job ID. So the job ID relates the two tables. Alright, so how do we join? So the first thing we want to do is we want to give this table aliases. For instance, we have the employees table, we can call it E. The jobs table, we can call it J, right? Keep it in mind. So what it means is that we are going to get the last name from E. Remember, we said we are giving them aliases. And we are going to get a job title, not the job ID, but the job title from J, the job title. Yeah. Now you can actually use upper or lowercase. The select statements and the names of the columns in SQL, they are not case sensitive. Alright, so we select the E.last name, J.job title from HR.employees. We are going to say the employees E. So HR is employees E. We are going to put the alias after the name of the table. So HR is employees, we are calling it E. Now we are going to specify the join table. And the join table is simply HR.jobs because that's the name of the table. Okay, so we are going to say join. So this join is about the same as inner join. When you say join, it's the same as inner join. So you don't have to write this completely. HR.jobs, okay. So we've joined it and we also give it the alias we mentioned J. So the alias does not have to be the same. You have to choose different alias for different tables if you are doing a join. And we are going to specify the join column. So you are going to specify the join column using on keywords. So you're going to say on on, you specify E, the job ID is equal to J.job ID. So the same job ID there is the same column on two different tables. So that's where they join. So I'm going to take out these describe statements I have here. And we have the last name, the job title coming from the two tables. So I'm going to just run the code. So let's see if we get it correctly. So we have the last name and the job title. So we've succeeded in doing our first join. So basically the first thing you want to do, you choose aliases for the table names, and when you use join, use the first table, join the second table, and that's all. Put the alias names after the names of the tables, like HR.jobs, the jobs table, you put the alias as J, HR.employees, put the alias as E, and that's all you need to do. Any other place you refer to this table, you want to use the alias dot the column name of this table. We are going to do a bit more of this kind of exercise or joins, and it becomes clearer as we go. However, we have the next part says who do not have a manager. Yeah, right. So after joining, I'm going to say where there's no manager in E. So we have E.manager ID. Manager ID is null, right? Because now we are saying once you use an alias, you have to now use it. So E.manager ID, the employee dot the manager ID column contains null. So I'm going to run this code now, and let's see what we have here. And it gives us only one. So we have King, and the job title is President. So he doesn't have a manager for sure. So we move on to question number 9. Display the last name, salary, and commission for all employees who earn commissions, right? Now we have display the last name, salary, and commission. Okay, so let's try to do that. So we have last name, salary and commission. Now I don't know whether commission is the name of this column. We are going to check, but let me complete writing the query first, then we come back here. And commission for all employees who earn commission. So I'm going to say where commission. Okay, I'm going to use the from clause first. From HR.employees where commission is null. Okay, but I don't know if this commission is actually the name of this column that contains the commission. So I'm going to just say describe HR.employees. So I'm going to see the column and see, look at the columns and see actually the actual name of this commissions column. Okay, so HR.employees here and run. Okay, so here we have the commission table, commission, we have commission underscore PCT, right? So on commission underscore PCT, and I'm going to also use the same here, PCT. I'm going to run it again and let's see what we have. So we have those who, actually this statement is also executing. So it means that this one, the result is just below. Okay, so we have employees who, all employees who earn commissions. Okay, so now I've selected all employees who don't earn commissions. So to select all employees who earn commissions, you simply say where commission part is not null. I think this is quite intuitive, and I'm going to just remove this describe statement so that everything is going to be cleaned up. I'm going to run this code now, and let's see what we have. So with these all who earn commission, now it says sort in descending order of salary and commissions. Oh, so how to sort two times in descending order of salary and commission. So I'm going to say order by salary disk. And also we are going to order by commissions because we are ordering two ways. So we are going to say order by salary descending, and then you specify the column, so you don't have to write the order by clause twice. Commission, PCT, and descending as well, because they say we have to sort in descending order. There, see? And I'm going to go ahead to run and let's see what we have. Okay, so it's ordered by salary descending. Okay, that is fine. And this one is also descending. Okay, so this is how to solve this question number 9. Let's move on to question number 10. Find the highest, the lowest, sum, average, salary of all employees, level, then maximum, minimum. Okay, so now we are talking about aggregate functions. Aggregate functions are simply functions that help you to calculate some kind of aggregate values for the columns or for the values in a column. So in this case, let me just do the first one. The lowest salary, I'm going to say select mean. So mean is the name of this aggregate function that gets you the minimum or the lowest value in the column. So I'm going to select the lowest salary, and I'm going to say from where? From HR.employees. Employees, and I'm going to simply run this. But wait a minute, they say we should give the column name to be minimum for minimum. So in this case, you see the column name here is mean salary. So they want us to use the column name minimum. To do that, you simply specify beside the column select, you now specify the name of the column you want to use. In this case, we want to use minimum, and I'm going to just run. Yeah, so it works perfectly well. So you can actually change this one to max, and that gives you the maximum, and also change to sum, change to average. But average is a little bit different because in this case you use AVG. That's the aggregate function for average. So try to play around with this. Make sure you do it. I'm not going to stay here writing it for you. That's your exercise. Please try to do it yourself and see how it plays out. Let's now move on to number 11. It says modify the previous query to display the minimum, maximum, sum and average salary for each job type, job ID. Okay, so what does it mean? So for all job IDs, let's say for everybody in IT department, their job ID is IT technician, and you want to display the minimum salary of IT technicians, you want to display the minimum salary of accountants, you want to display the minimum salary for each of the job titles. All right. And how do we do this? That brings us to another kind of clause called group by. So we have to group by the department, right? So how does it play out? So I'm going to select sum. Let's start with the minimum this time. The minimum salary, and we are going to do it for the job ID. Okay, job ID, and so we are selecting the minimum salary for each job ID. That is what I just wrote right here. So I'm going to say from HR.employees. I'm going to run it, but we are not done yet. I'm going to run it at this point, and it says not a single group function. Okay. So once you do this, you must specify how you want to group. So in this case, we are grouping by job ID because we are finding group of job ID. The job ID is a group of people, right? Group of people that have the same job ID. So we are going to group by job ID. Yeah, so you have to use a group by. That is just what we want to do here. And I'm going to run this. So you can also get the sum of the salaries for each of the job roles. So I'm going to say sum. And so you can actually try different titles, but this is groups of the salary for some of the salaries for each of the job IDs are specified. So I'm moving on to number 12, display the number of people with the same job. So in this case, I'm going to use another aggregate function. I'm going to say count. Count the employee IDs, the number of people, employee ID, and the job ID. Okay, from HR's employees, group by job ID. So I'm counting this time. I'm counting now the number of employees for each job ID, right? So I'm going to run. So we have the account, AC account 1. So we have 5 persons with the same job ID of these and so on. So we have all of them showed here. So this is another aggregate function called count. I'm now moving on to number 13. Determine the number of managers without listing them and label the column number of managers. Determine the number of managers. So how do we do this? We are going to use count employee ID without listing them, right? So we are going to use count. We don't want to list them. Count employee ID from. So we are not grouping anything this time. So I'm going to say where manager ID is without listing them. Let me see. Determine number of managers without listing them. So where manager ID is null, manager ID is null. So in this case, when this employee does not have any manager, it means he's a manager. That is my intuition. So let me run this code first, and then let's see. Select. Okay, I have this where 2 times, so I'm going to just delete one and run it. So it gives us only count one employee that does not have a manager, and I assume he's a manager. We now move to number 14. So number 14 says find the difference between the highest and the lowest salaries. So I'm going to select this time I'm going to select maximum salary minus minimum salary, and label the column difference, but let's continue first from HR.employees, and I'm going to just run it now. But now they want us to add a column alias, so I'm just going to call it here, write it here, difference, okay, like this. So he's going to change the column name now to this alias. So I'm moving on to number 15. find the address of all departments and use the locations and countries table. So this time we are going to do a bit more of join. So I like to kind of defer this to the next part. I'm going to like to thank you for viewing. Please remember to subscribe to my channel. And let's now see in the next part and where we are going to do more joins.